Do 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 do. Hi, I'm Matt, and this is Learn With Me, where I attempt to write a subgenre of music that I've not attempted to write before. Today, I'm trying country music. Now, I know it's not a subgenre, but it's a genre that I've not really even got close to in terms of writing. So I thought I'd allow myself to feel inspired by the whole umbrella of country music. Now, my original impressions of country music haven't been great, and clearly I'm ignorant to the genre because I always thought country was just, I'm driving my big red truck, drinking a beer, picking my kids up from school. Clearly, I wasn't listening to enough country music. And it's a genre that is full of extremely talented musicians and vocalists. And I'm hoping that trying to write it will actually give me more love for the genre too. Characteristics are usually storytelling and lyrical themes, a focus on electric and acoustic guitars, emphasis on melodies, and lots of vocal harmonies. Artists such as Johnny Cash, Garth Brooks, The Wandering Hearts, and the Shires are just some of the artists I've listened to for inspiration for this. I'll be using Ableton Live for this session. So I think to start this one off, I'm going to go on the acoustic guitar, but first let's set a tempo in Ableton. So I'm thinking quite slow, maybe like a... Yeah, that sounds good. So what I'm going to do is set up a channel for the acoustic. And to record the acoustic, I'm going to be using a Neumann TLM 102. And I'm going to position the mic right next to the hole. I want to check the tuning quickly. This is actually a step down, which I quite like actually. I'm going to keep it that way. Quite like that chord progression actually. Very much helped by this microphone. I'm actually lending this from a friend. It's a very, very nice microphone. I'm just going to start recording and hope for the best. Feel like it's a little bit too slow. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit. Let's try 80. And I think I'm also going to palm mute. Just to kind of make it sound a bit more rhythmic. I kind of just flowed with it and kind of continued and kind of created a second section there. So I think what I'd like to do now is jump on electric. So I recently set it up so I can actually put anything that I put from my interface through the pedal board. And this is actually a drop C, this guitar right now, which I'm actually going to leave because it's actually the same tuning as that. It's just the top string's the C rather than the D. Okay, so I think I'm actually going to use, for the guitar, a Neuro DSP, the Morgan amp suite. So because of the way I've got this routed, this will actually go through the VST amp and then through the pedal board, which is really handy just for the signal chain. I already quite like that, I just don't like the effects. So I'm going to turn the effects off. Yeah, that sounds great. That's almost like I guess it sounds like an AC30. Oh, it's called AC20. I'm going to put the Avalanche run. So I'm thinking for the lead, I'm going to start on that F. Okay, let's try record and see what I can come up with. I like that. It's actually, I'm really enjoying it. So I think for this the second part, I want to do the chords. So now we've got a couple of sections. I want to focus on the drums because I am aware that the timing is slightly wavering a bit, which again, I don't mind too much because the drums aren't going to be anything too complicated, at least for these first few sections. So I'm going to use Addictive Drums 2. And I think for the first part, I'm not even going to have drums anyways. I think the drums will come in once we go to that section B. And I'm just going to have a cymbal and a kick whenever it kind of hits the guitar. And it's a little bit loose, so I'm actually going to make sure that the drums are actually following this guitar here. And I'm thinking here maybe some like toms, like a doom, doom, doom. Oh, too early. Too late. Cool. Just copy that, put that there. Let's put the velocity up all the way. And let's just consolidate this because I want to have a look at the sound of the kit. Let's try Fairfax Volume 2. Oh yeah, that sounds almost perfect. I just want to change the velocities of those cymbals. And I think the second time around it probably needs to change. Maybe just 3 ride hits might be quite nice. If I can find the ride. There we go. C sharp. Change the velocity there because that's a bit much. Maybe have a slight increase each hit. And for the third time, nothing. And then now the drums will kind of start properly for the kind of second chorus. I'm thinking something quite simple, maybe just like a simple kind of rock beat. Yeah, that sounds good. And maybe a couple of little hi-hats, closed hi-hats. And then for the second time round, I kind of want a full snare rather than just a rim shot. Maybe some more kick drums. And maybe slightly more attack on the hi-hat. And I like the idea that it's kind of like quite a big outro. So I'm now going to create a drum part that's kind of a little bit more energetic than what we've got so far. I'm curious to know how it's going to sound if I double time it. Might be too much. Let's try find a ride. I quite like that hi-hat. Okay, yeah, that'll do for the beat for now. So now we've got some chords, we've got a rough structure. I'm going to get on the bass. Okay, let's create an audio track for the bass. And I'm going to use Guitar Rig 7 to find the right sound. And let's have a look at genres. Oh, they've even got one for country. There we go. Let's try Dirty Studio Bass. And I always love, they have this kind of match cabinet promo where you can push kind of a room mic, which kind of warms the bass up quite a lot. Yeah, that sounds great. Just want to push the input up a little bit. I think what I'm going to do actually, before I record the bass quickly, I'm actually just going to shorten this intro because I just think it's a little bit too long. Let's record the bass. I like the idea that I come in on the third note. It's like a slide in. I don't know what I was doing there. It just kind of came to me, but I kind of liked it. But I think it needs like a bit of overdrive for that bit. What I want to do is get on guitar and actually try replicate what I just did on bass. I kind of want a little bit more overdrive, so I'm going to put the Hismatis. I can never pronounce it. That's too much, I think. Let's put the saturation and the tone down. Yeah, it's a bit too much. The Mandrake I think is going to be too much as well. I think, let's have a look. Let's duplicate this channel. And I'm only duplicating because I want to make sure I've got access to the original sound that we have. Because obviously once you're recording it, the VST is baked into the audio as well. So you can't change it. So that's another disadvantage of doing this rewiring thing that I'm doing with the pedal board. Hopefully now we've got the new channel. And what I want to do is kind of, is there a gain on this? Okay, the volume acts as a gain, okay. Yeah, I like that. So let's record that. Yeah, some of it wasn't perfect, but that'll do for now. Okay, now what I want to do is record that same thing, but on acoustic. Okay, let's go for it. perfect. So I'm just going to copy the second part and paste it over the first, just for now. I don't mind doing a bit of copy and pasting because I see these as kind of demos, because if there was anything that I actually really liked, I'd just re-record everything anyways. So I want to look at the acoustic sound because that's something we've not looked at yet. I'm going to put Guitar Rig 7 on this and just see if there's actually any kind of, because there must be an input source for acoustic. Guitar clean, let's try. Because we don't really want amplified genre. And let's try country again. Simple pleasure. No, I've got a feeling these are all going to be slightly... Yeah, these are all kind of, unfortunately, more suited to electric. But if I just put acoustic, are there any presets? Oh, okay. I'm not sure, but there's like a slight overdrive happening, and I think it's probably one of these tube compressors. Just loop the first 4 bars. Okay, so I've turned quite a lot of stuff off there. Quite like the way it's sounding now. I might get rid of that slide. It sounded a little bit intense, or at least fade it in. There we go, that sounds better. And I think the bass is probably slightly too overdriven, so I want to look at that as well. Just push the boost down. I'm also going to pan the acoustic slightly to the left and the electric slightly to the right. And just keep the bass dead center. So I think for this final bit, we clearly need to turn down the acoustic. So what I'm going to do is, rather than automating the volume, I always use the utility in Ableton, because you could automate the volume and still affect the overall volume with the master volume. And I think what I'm going to do is copy the first bass over, because when it goes high, those notes are slightly conflicting for me. So I'm going to do the same with the guitar, just copy it so it's super tight. I might actually pan them just a little bit more, just giving each one a little bit more space. Now I think what I'd like to do after this section is go back to that do 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 do. Yeah, that actually works now, because I'm thinking to do like almost like go back to that melody on guitar, maybe like bordering on solo. I'm going to keep that distortion on, put the avalanche run back on. Let's try a different pickup setup. Yeah, that's nicer. Okay, let's have a go at recording. I'm going to try to think of something. I don't want to solo as such, because I'm just not that good at soloing, especially in this genre. So I'm actually going to play that kind of original lead part that we have in the intro. But I'm actually going to put both my overdrive pedals on. Okay, so that's quite good. We need to obviously work on the drums because they're getting a little bit repetitive. I think now what I'd like to do is actually add some strings, like maybe like a violin or something. What about cello? Maybe a cello over that might be quite good. I'm going to first record the root notes, and I'm going to come in at the same time as the bass does. Okay, so for that chorus bit, obviously I actually wasn't playing the right notes. Make sure I'm getting those notes right. But I liked what I did in this little bit. Oh, hang on a minute. I'm playing E, because obviously it's D. So that's the one issue of having your guitars tuned slightly differently. You kind of forget the notes. So that's automatically doing the note change, which is actually really cool. And I'll just copy that. Cool, yeah, there's some really nice bits in that. I guess the chorus or pre-chorus, I'm also going to have an octave lower, thicken it up. And I think this needs some reverb, so I'm actually going to use the Spaced Out by Baby Audio, turn off the delay, which is the left side. And I'm going to pan this to the same direction of the acoustic guitar. And then I'm also going to automate the dynamics. So this kind of, it's almost like a velocity, but if we lower this a little bit, yeah, it's very subtle now. You can just hear it just underneath. And actually for this, let's increase it and then we kind of drop it down again when it goes to that single note. And obviously for here, we want to copy the chorus bit, pop that there. And I think for the outro, I like the idea of just stretching these two notes out for a while, then automating and lowering the dynamicness so those notes will slowly fade out. And then for this kind of lead part, I was thinking that like the guitars and the drums could follow this little outro bit, just like a little interesting outro. Cool, and I think the only thing we need to do now for the strings is this little midsection. Let's create another MIDI channel and change the labs sound. See if we can find something that's maybe more staccato. Piano might be quite cool, because I'm thinking maybe like just like a chord, like a da 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 on piano might be cool for this section. Let's do filter, pianos, there we go. I mean, I think that's going to do, because it's going to be quite quiet in the mix anyways. Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's record. Going to copy that first part. Now I think I want like a proper, like a big drum fill here. Now like a let's push the velocities up a little bit. Quite like the idea of doing some kind of like almost like a reverse effect here. What's the guitar doing here? Yeah, this. I think I'm actually copy this and then reverse. This might not work, but yeah, that's quite cool. I'm actually going to crossfade this as well. I think the guitar, I want to add a little bit more reverb to it. So I'm actually going to put the Spaced Out. I've turned the delay off again on this side. I'm just going to push it up. Yeah, that's a bit nicer. And I love that, how the bass and the cello come in at the same time. I think what I'd like to do is create another MIDI. Like, let's put another stringed instrument in there. And I'm going to use the labs again for this. I'm sure there's a dulcimer VST here. Oh yeah, there we are, dulcimer. Okay, and let's test out the sounds. No, don't really like the sound of that either. Maybe if we can find some percussion to add, that might be quite nice. You know what? I have a little bit of percussion in this room. And I've actually got a kahiki? Ideally, I'd have like a traditional just shaker, but I'm pretty sure there's one in here. I just can't find it. So I'm just going to use this because this is easy access. It was just there. And we'll see if it works. It might not work. That'll do for now. I can just loop sections when I need them or not. So I like the idea this actually comes in when the bass and the cello come in. And I want to add some reverb to this as well. I'm going to use Ableton's built-in reverb for this, the hybrid reverb. Just change the way. I'm going to keep all these settings pretty much because I quite like the way that sounds at the minute. I want to lower the high end a little bit, so I'm just going to use Ableton's built-in EQ. Going to take out the low end as well and put the reverb after the EQ and actually pan it slightly to the right. I think what I'd like to try to do now is get some more guitar on there, but I'm just going to use the volume and kind of try emulate like a pedal steel almost on electric. I'm going to turn off the avalanche run. I'm actually going to use the dark lights reverb. So that kind of effect, basically. I'm also going to use my bridge pickup. So I'm just going to play over the whole thing and record, and hopefully there'll be some usable bits. Ending was a little bit of a mess there, but I think there's some nice bits in there. I'm just going to copy this second bit because I think I played it better the second time round. Crossfade here. Now another thing I want to do is put some low cuts on quite a few things just to give the bass a bit more space and also the kick drum. So I'm going to use the Waves Q1 for this. So let's first do the acoustic guitar. I'm going to push it so it starts to dip from 1, 2, 5 and just without that. Just taking out about that kind of muddy low end, and I'm going to put this on the guitars as well, and also the cello, and also the piano, and the percussion just in case. So when we listen to now, it's a very subtle thing, but it always, just doing that in itself cleans up a mix so much. I mean, it's a very brutal thing to do. Some things you might want to bring back the low end, but just for cleaning up a mix quickly, that's what I tend to do. I think I want to increase the reverb on the shaker, put the size of the room up a little bit. So I think the drums in this section I want to work on because they get quite repetitive. What I'd like to do is try and make the kick drum follow the rhythm of that guitar, well, of everything essentially. There we go, yeah. Quite like the idea it hits toms as well when it goes to this kind of that duh duh, or maybe snare. Yeah, like that. So it's adding a bit of variation, and maybe for the next section we change it up a bit more so it's kind of fitting. And in fact the snare there still works. Rather than using a hi-hat, I want to put it on like a bell. Yeah, I think it needs to change again here as well. Back to the hi-hat. Maybe get rid of that second snare. In fact, I like the idea that it kind of goes kind of straight on the second part. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. And what I'd like to do is have a nice fill at the very end. I think this last bit needs a bit of work. Maybe I'll get back on the bass now and just play those notes that need playing. So let's record that quickly. And I might have to get rid of that final high note on the lead part. Now here comes the hard part. I'm actually going to try and put some vocals down on this. I did it on one of my previous videos. I don't want to make it a regular thing. I said that in the last one. But again, I feel like this genre kind of needs the vocals. Obviously country, it's all about storytelling. So I thought what better way to tell a story than what I kind of experience at the minute. And currently I'm actually living in a van, and one of my favourite moments is drinking coffee in the morning. I love the fact that I can wake up wherever I want to, in nature, make my coffee, drink it, and hopefully the sun's shining on my face. And also, I actually hurt my back today trying to pick up a box. So maybe I can talk about getting old and having a bad back. So first we need to figure out what kind of rhythm we want to do. So I'm thinking da, 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 da. So maybe we're looking at maybe 6 syllables. So we've got our lyric ideas: living in a van, making a coffee, freedom of going anywhere, and getting old and pulling a back muscle from picking up a box. So let's say, I love waking up in the morning. My van is small but keeps me warm. Nothing beats the smell of morning coffee. So I grab my gas stove and start the day. I should mention, before I record the vocals, I did practice them a little bit after writing the lyrics. So I might alternate the lyrics a little bit as I'm singing them just to see how they fit. And I'm thinking starting quite low tonally. I think I was just very influenced by Johnny Cash. Again, my vocals aren't probably the best suited to country because country singers tend to be phenomenal vocalists. I am not that. Yeah, let's give it a go. Here we go. I love waking up in the morning. My van's small, but it keeps me warm. Nothing beats the smell of coffee in the morning. So I grab my gas stove freedom to roam, no heavy load. Freedom calls on every road. Freedom to roam, no heavy load. Okay, so I think that was okay. I think what I'm probably going to do, that second part I'm just going to loop over, because I don't sing very often and I can already hear my voice kind of getting a little bit croaky, so I want to keep the singing to a minimum. Before I record the backing vocals, actually I want to add some reverb to my main vocal. I'm going to use the hybrid reverb for this, and I might just keep it to default, depending on how it sounds. Yeah, that's sitting nicely. So I'm also going to add the reverb to the backing vocal as well, and let's record it. Okay, so for the chorus harmony, I'm actually going to go lower for this one. Freedom calls on every road. Freedom to roam, no heavy load. So I think now it's going to be the second verse. I like this idea that this is kind of a little bit instrumental. I also didn't write enough lyrics either. So I'm gonna, I guess, I'll come in when the drums kind of change. So like, yeah, when the bass comes in as well. So let's go for this. Okay, let's do the harmony now. And I think for this harmony, I'm going to go high again. I want to add some kind of like, almost like an outro / interlude kind of line, which is just going to be like, live your life to the fullest, essentially. So I'm going to put that in there. Let's give it a go. I'm also thinking doing one that's just low down, like tonally. Okay, so the low is too loud at the minute. So let's look at levels now. So let's first add the Waves Vocal Rider, which is a really, really cool plugin. We just want the mono one. Let's put that before the reverb. And this is, if you've not used it before, it's just a really handy tool, especially for vocals, because it would just like, it's like when you're in a studio, you're just riding that fader. It does it automatically for you. So I'm going to put that on the backing vocals as well. I'm just going to keep it to default for now. Let's get rid of all this dead space. Doing all my crossfades, just so there's no kind of background noise where there doesn't need to be. Oh, that was a bit, that on the guitar, you hear it. So I'm just going to copy that and put it there. I think maybe let's try put on the BB Tubes by Waves, which is like a tube saturator on the vocals, just to kind of warm them up a little bit. And I'm going to solo this vocal, which is not going to be nice for me. Oh, but it keeps me warm. Oh, but it keeps me warm. And I'm also going to put on that with the backing vocals as well. I think the drums need a little bit of reverb. And actually, I'm going to put the BB Tubes on the drums just to warm them up a little bit as well. Let's solo the drums. Push the bass. You hear the kick drums distorting there, but if I push the bass drum up, it's clean again. So that bass drum is really, really handy. So for reverb on the drums, let's just use the hybrid reverb again. And I want it to be quite subtle, so I'm just going to maybe push the dry wet signal just down like maybe 15. Yeah, so it's quite a subtle reverb. If I turn it off for a second so you can hear it. The toms particularly dry, so if I turn the reverb back on, let's hear those toms again. Yeah, you just it warms them up slightly. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I've spent probably more time on this song than any other song I've done in this series. I think that might be partly down to the fact that I've put vocals on there and I came up with like lyrics and things like that. I'm just going to do some quick mastering. I'm just going to use Ozone 11, throw that on the top, just use the balance master preset or balance mix balanced master. Yeah, it's just a great preset for just doing a quick, almost like a demo master. But yeah, let's have a listen. In fact, before I do this quickly, I'm actually just going to bring in all these just a little bit because I think there was a little bit of noise at the very beginning from the acoustic. So let's go for it. So I'll say this is feeling more like, I guess I'll say it's like country rock, because I think country is such a vast genre in itself. There's so many different types of country, but I would say this is probably like, yeah, I guess country rock maybe. One of my favorite bits is actually that cello. I'm a fan of that sound. I think it's really, really cool. But yeah, I like it. I mean, it clearly needs a lot of mixing, a lot of finessing. Whenever I get to the kind of, I guess, the finish line of these Learn With Me's, I always see this as like the demo, essentially, of a song, rather than like a finished piece. I think if my voice was better suited to country, I probably would love loads of harmonies. Some of the country music I listened to, I loved when you had like a male and female vocalist like harmonizing together. Some of it's beautiful, and I would love to try that at some point. It's definitely a genre I'd like to dive in again. I feel like I say that with everyone, but yeah, this has been a lot of fun. And maybe it's partly because I've sung on this one. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and the process and my process, because whenever I try any of these genres, I guess I'm always putting my own little spin on it. If you've enjoyed it, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time.